Howdy, welcome to the Pagan Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, Reverend Janet Callahan. I'm the author of Parenting Pagan Tots and 2 new workbooks on children's programming and working with disabled children in children's programming. And you can find those on Amazon and on Kindle. I am also the mom to 2 wonderful but slightly complicated kiddos. And on this podcast, we talk about all things pagan parenting. Gosh, it has been a while, hasn't it? I did not mean to take this long of a break. I really didn't. But as many of you have probably also experienced, this year of COVID has just been a little extra chaotic, extra busy, extra stressful, extra everything. We have taken some serious changes around this house. I have been working from home most of the last year and probably will continue for the foreseeable future, at least for the next year. My husband has left his employer of 20 years and is now a stay-at-home dad. And we've withdrawn my children from school, and we are homeschooling them. So it's a very different world for us right now. We also happen to get Medicaid funding for my children. My children have multiple disabilities, and we needed a waiver to get Medicaid, and we finally got one last year. So we now have access to things like respite care and community living skills and some other therapies that are really good for them. But getting it all organized has just been a little challenging, and with the pandemic on top of it, that's just another layer of chaos. So I've been busy writing. I've got some new stuff out on Amazon. I've got some, I'm still posting reposting reviews to paganparenting.info. I've posted a few more articles there. I've posted a couple more things on my own blog on janetcallahan.com. And I am really going to try to make this a weekly thing. I don't promise to make every week because children, life, chaos. But I really want to be more deliberate about what gets done and what things I work on and what things I prioritize. With that in mind, thank you all of you who have been listening to this point. Thank you for those of you who are picking up with me and going to continue listening. And hopefully we'll get some guests in here this year, and we'll have some holiday talks and answer some questions. Feel free to please come and leave a message and ask questions. I will try to answer those. And, all of our festivals are closed this year, so any plans we had for taking children to festivals and trying to make that work is right out the window. Even though I started writing about how we were going to make that work last year. So it's just more time to prepare, which we kind of need. Because a lot of our events are not really prepared for them. And even if they're reasonably good at doing children's activities, they're not necessarily prepared for children with disabilities. So that's also going to be a thing we talk about some over the next few weeks. Because I really feel like it's important for us to consider how we're including everyone in our events and in our workshops and in our parenting. So after the break, we're going to go to commercial break here. After the break, we're going to talk a little bit about some questions that have been left. I really love getting questions from listeners. I think it's helpful for me to think about where you are versus where I am in my parenting journey and your parenting journey. And it helps me come up with new things to remember that I thought were important to say to you that I might have forgotten or, written down someplace and not looked at recently or whatever. So In the messages, Nicholas asked what he should do. He is in a situation where his family is not really religious, but he's started to really dig into his faith, and he's trying to figure out what to do with his family and how to make that work when his wife isn't really into it, and they do, sort of traditional secular holidays, and what do you do with the kids and all of those things. And I think that part of this is you have to have a lot of communication with your significant other. And I know that probably sounds to most people like a ridiculous statement, but it's the truth. You have to communicate with people, especially when you live with them. And you have to talk about, these are the things I'm interested in doing, and these are the things I'm learning, and this is the journey I'm taking. And you need to talk about how you're going to manage that as a couple and as a family. Some people take the tactic that they are not going to do anything with their children. And, I get that. But I also know that without some background information in religion and what they could or shouldn't do, or, what is ethics and what makes something ethical, that your kids are going to find someone somewhere who's going to give them that information, and it may not be the information you want them to have. I know a lot of people who have mixed faith relationships where kids are always invited to things, but they're not expected to attend, and I think that's honestly a pretty good situation for most families anyway, because it keeps it from being a forced situation, but it lets them have access to the things that you're learning and the things that you're doing. One of the other questions that Nicholas asked was, how do you find people? And I kind of laugh about this a little bit. We used to have WitchVox, which was a website that everybody knew about and everybody posted to, and everybody posted their events and their groups and all of those things. And the usage of it went down, and the costs of hosting what's probably hundreds of terabytes of data from 20 years worth of work was going up. So they archived the site, and it's frequently interesting to me in the metro area I live in to see the number of people who are like, I found a group online. Is there anybody else near me that is pagan or Wiccan or whatever? And the answer is always yes. There's always people, but people find one group online and they think that that's all there is. Whereas in our metro area, there's probably 100 Facebook groups. There's at least 2 separate communities who basically have no interaction with each other. So the first thing you should do is you should go to Facebook and search for your state or your city, and pagan or Wiccan or witch or any number of other terms that you might be interested in. If you have a specific tradition, you might find listings on their website. If you might also go look for Spiral Scouts troops. They have a listing by location as well. So those are the things I would do, and I would remember that once you get into one group, you can ask people, like, where are their shops? Where are their ritual groups? Who does open rituals? What other groups are around? What other Facebook groups can I join to talk to other people? Those things are out there, and once you find one, you can usually network your way to a whole bunch more. I hope that helps. That's it for this episode. This is just a reminder that you can find Pagan Parenting Podcast on Facebook, and you can check out our website, paganparenting.info. We'll talk more soon.